So I've got some news and some good news. The news is that if you want to change your life, something has to change. You see, whatever you have done, whatever strategy you have done, whatever learning you have done, whatever acquisition of knowledge and wealth and ideas that you have done up until today will get you no farther than it has already gotten you. When I first heard that, I was taken back a bit because I was thinking, wow, I have done all these studies, I've gone to college, I've spent time in spiritual retreats and spiritual development, following spiritual gurus and walking the walk and talking the talk, and thought, and it isn't going to get me any farther. And the worst part of that for me was that I wanted to go farther. Now, is anybody here exactly where they want to be in life, have absolutely everything their heart has ever desired? Yeah, me neither. You see, inherently, we have this idea of something bigger than us. This idea that our life, and I'm going to use a word I generally don't use, should be greater than we're experiencing now. Now, it's not really that it should be. Is we desire it to be a greater expression of who we are. A greater experience of all of the good that we keep hearing about. You come places like this and hear, there is good surrounding me. Yeah? Where? I want mine now. I want some of it now. And it is true. There is good surrounding you. A limitless source. An unquenchable fountain of substance is present right now. In fact, all of the good that ever was, is now, and will be, is present right now, right here. That's why it's called one. The infinite power and source. That infinite power is absolutely everything, everywhere. So all of it must be right here, right now, where we are. So the trick then is, how do we open ourselves to recognizing that that good is in our life? How do we change our thinking so that we are recognizing a greater experience, that we are having a greater experience of life, that we are gathering to ourselves those things that we are desiring in life, and we are sharing them and loving where we are. So I was thinking of this idea. You know why we don't get clear results? Because we don't have clear thinking. Now, in our entire philosophy, our entire teaching, our entire practice of prayer, the idea is to actually know what it is we want to achieve, to be, to experience in life. And quite often, and I find this is true of myself as much as anybody I've ever talked to, the reason we don't experience that is because we start on one direction and we say, I would like to be more loving. I've been using that one a lot. I would like to receive and have more loving experience of life. Except for that over there doesn't need to get near me. Can you see the muddled thinking in this? Can you see how the little flips that we make in our consciousness when we're driving down the expressway and that guy goes right by you, real close? And the natural response is not necessarily say, wow, I'm so grateful that he didn't get any closer. That's not the natural response. The natural response is one of being startled. And because we're startled, we get angry. And when we get angry, we respond and perhaps verbalize that or physically demonstrate that as an expression of anything but love. And this muddles our receptivity to that desired love. You see, we have to be what we want to receive in the world. And that's a tenet of what we teach always. We have to be it first, to recognize it, to allow it, to become it, and to experience it in our lives. So if we want to experience love in our lives, we have to be love. Not a little bit. All the time. That's the challenge. That's the challenge with all of this stuff. You see, I think all of us have this, when I started thinking about this idea of it's the clarity of our thinking that brings about the experiences in our lives. I was thinking about this and I thought, we all have a spiritual compass, right? And unlike a regular compass, like a regular compass, right? You hold it up and if you lay it flat, the needle points to 11 degrees left of what we call map north, to true north, where the magnetic pole is, always. That's where it points, because that's what it knows what it's looking for. The problem with a spiritual compass is we're the magnet. So we have a spiritual compass that's inside us that is saying, okay, I'm going to go in that direction. And what it's doing is it's pointing us in the direction of the path that we need to take to get to the desire that we have expressed wanting, because that is where our intention is. Our intention is the magnet that's drawing this and pointing us in that direction. So what happens is often we say, okay, I want to be deeply spiritual, and I'm going to go in that direction. And the compass says, okay, you need to meditate. You want to start that path. There's step one on the journey of how to walk the talk, right?
What about
It's
walk the talk?
I'll get to that later. Right after the celebration. Thank you. So we take that step in that direction, and we start down that road, and then something changes our mind. And our magnetic north goes from over there to over there. And spiritual compass just does what spiritual compasses do. North is now that way. And we start off on that step and that journey. And we wonder why we don't reach up at that destination over there. It's because what we've done is, and it's okay. Everywhere we are, we can change our thinking at any time in our lives. But if we want to experience a result that we say we want to experience, we have to actually take the journey long enough to reach the destination. Whether it's a big destination or a little destination. And you see, spirit doesn't have any definition of big or little. Those are all our assessments of what it is and wherever it is we're traveling to. So remember this. As you go about your day, that you're the true north. Your heart's desire is the true north. And Spirit is going to provide you with all of the opportunities and all of the ideas and all of the creative resources to get to true north. Because that's what Spirit does. It only has one response to everything that we put into it, and that response is yes. So we say, I want spirituality, and it says yes. And it says, the best way to do this is ask the compass. It says, what do I need to do to have that? You'll get the answer. Probably many of them. Right? You ever, like you ask, what should I be doing with my life? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I usually get to double letters in the list of what I should be doing with my life. And then it's our choice about which one we want. So, and I'm going to paraphrase this because Thoreau said this. If we steadfastly move in the direction of our dreams, they are sure to manifest in our experience. And that's the paraphrasing part. If we steadfastly move forward in the direction of our dreams, it is sure to come to us. So, what happens and why we get derailed from experiencing that greater good that is surrounding us right here and right now is we move the magnetic north in our life by changing the direction without ever having gotten to the destination. And I know this is true of myself, so I'm going to assume it's true for everybody else. Those things which we have achieved in our lives and know that we have achieved in our lives were because we were consistently persistent in moving in the direction of that dream, and that dream became a reality. You see, we are whole beings. What starts as an idea moves into our words and our actions and our commitments, and our activities move in that direction, and then one day we turn around and it is part of our lives, undoubtedly, as a firm affirmation of, yep, I am here, that is now part of my life, and we forget about it. because it's now part of my life. You know, the person who is stuck in lack and limitation and waiting for prosperity in their life and gets a hold of the idea that the prosperity is a flow of good in my life, and what I need to do with that is to take the first step towards experiencing that is to take whatever I have and tithe 10% of it to the source of my spiritual good, where I'm getting spiritually fed, and see and be open to what happens. They take that first step, and the next thing you know, this person's a multimillionaire, is no longer thinking about prosperity, just does this out of the regular habit of saying, why should I stop now? Because I've been doing this, and this is what changed my life. And they don't even think about having to change that thought anymore because it's the reality that they're experiencing. But they have to take the first step along the journey. So it goes in that process of, we get a new idea. We look at where we want to point our compass, the desire that we wish to experience. We then take that process into, okay, what's the first step in that? You don't have to plan the whole journey. This is the thing that stops most of us, right? Is I got to know every single step I got to take to get from A to C, and where B does the sideline in the journey before I begin the walking, right? And it stops so many of us from achieving and experiencing the good that is available to us in our lives. Because we got to know, instead of just continuing to take the first step, and then the next step, and then the next step after that, and allow Spirit to provide the next opportunity for you to take the next step towards the desired experience that you're working with. And as I said, this can be small ones and it can be big ones. And we may not know when it's going to appear in our life as I've reached that destination and now it's time to pick another one. We may not know what the exact next move is to be, but I can guarantee you that in any desire that you have, the immediate step to take is available to you. Whatever the next thing you need to do towards that is available to you. And it is by taking those first steps that we begin to develop faith. You see, we talk a lot about beliefs here, that life unfolds according to your beliefs, but our beliefs can change. In fact, that's what practical prayer does, is it changes our belief from some limiting belief to a more open belief, to a greater belief of a Spirit that is here to express itself through us. So beliefs can change. But what faith is going beyond the belief to the knowing that the source and the will and the power for that to come into your life is available. It is here now, and it is trusting that the next idea will come to you about what that next step is to get to the desired goal, to get to your true north, whatever that goal may be. You know, and sometimes, and this is where faith becomes really important, sometimes we are just trudging along the path. You ever experience that? You've set a desire to be there, and boy, does it seem a long way, and just keep taking the next step, even though you just want to sit down and rest. Perhaps lie down and take a nap. For those of us getting to be a certain age, naps are critical. But we continue on along that idea because we have a desire to experience it that is greater than shifting that compass to, okay, I'm going to settle for this. Because that happens a lot too. We get halfway down the road and we settle for that. Because we think that's all there is in store for us. We think that this is the end of the line. And I've done everything that I possibly could to achieve the desire that I really thought was going to be.
Wow.
Maybe I ought to change my desire. Anybody ever have that one? Yeah. And maybe it is time to change your desire. But that's for you to decide. Perhaps it's not. Perhaps you're just trudging the road to the destiny that you're creating for yourself. And that can be difficult. That requires faith to take that next step when you're bone tired of doing what you've been doing, just hoping that it's going to get a little better. Just hoping that the dream that you had way back when is still at the end of the line. You know? Those are the point at which I find while we're walking this road, it is helpful for me to stop and take stock of the good that has transpired along the way. Because sometimes we forget how much good has come from our beginning this journey of a single step towards our desire and continuing on with following that desire even when it seems hopeless. And it's really good to stop and look at the beauty in your life that has already come by doing what you have already done. And I'll go back to what I said. But what you have already done will not get you to the next step. What you have already done will not bring you that experience. You're gonna have to change something, regardless of where you are and what you're doing. You need to change something to take the next step to reach the desire that has not become real for you yet. And I suggest that you do whatever you are drawn to do, because the spirit part of the compass knows what the next step is for you to achieve this. And you don't have to figure out the whole road to get there. All you got to do is have faith that the next step is the right step. All you have to do maybe is to go back and clarify what the intention was in the first place and remember what started you down this path. Whether it was the joy or the, at the time, sometimes need drives us into an idea of lack and limitation. Wanting to build beyond that lack and limitation is what drives us into a greater idea of ourselves. Sometimes it is just that I don't know what else to do, so I'm going to go off in that direction. And all of those are okay. It is where we are. We can only be where we are right now to start the next journey to where we're going. So in closing, I just want to remind you that Spirit is embodying itself as each one of us. That the consciousness within us is that divine source expressing the greatness of its being through us, through the channel of who we are, the unique insights, perceptions, talents, gifts that we have to offer to this experience of life. The openness that allows us to be that greater expression of life and to experience all of the good that is in store in this life. So just ask yourself as you're going forward in this next week, what is my next perfect step? Before you ask yourself that, ask yourself, where is it I want to go? Because the universe is only going to say one thing to where you want to go. Yes. So get a bigger idea of it. Get a greater idea, because you are magnificence. You can't be anything but. As an individualized expression of a limitless love, a limitless source, a limitless intelligence. That's what it means in this infinite world universe that we live in. That this spirit has no bounds. The only bounds that we have are the ones that we accept. So I invite you to look back at where it is your dream is, as the reading was talking about. And set your compass in that direction. And then take that first step. Just take the first step. And travel towards your dreams. You'll get there eventually. Namaste.